So a while ago I bought this guy. It's the Bug Assault 3.0, and it's essentially a spring-powered shotgun that shoots table salt at anything that flies in your house. And it's a lot of fun. And then I started to realize that it doesn't quite have the force to stop like bigger bugs in the 8-eyed variety. So I scoured the internet to see like what people are doing to upgrade these things, and all I could find was, essentially what I've done is just flashlight, way overpowered laser, and I painted it black. But it didn't do anything for the stopping power. So that's why I made this guy. I call it the REAPER. And it's essentially two 3.0s joined together. So it's one trigger, one pump action, two barrels, and a whole lot of fun. So I wanted to upgrade just a normal Bug Assault, and then I took it apart and realized that these things they're very well made. Everything in there just fits perfectly inside the shell, and I didn't want to start upgrading springs and potentially breaking the other plastic parts. So this was the next best thing. Took a bit of working out to try and get everything to line up so that they fire at the same time. Now, the 3.0s, let's see, just a bit of a comparison there. It's a fair bit bigger, much heavier, because I've used a lot of steel, a lot of wood, everything. So it's much heavier than this. And this guy, I'll put this down. This guy, if you're familiar with these, you'll know that they take a little bit to load. And then this guy, obviously, is two joined together, so it's gonna be twice as much, but it feels a lot more than that. It's heavy. And it's much louder. So this is the normal 3.0. Much louder. I've also put dual flashlights on and a little laser just down the bottom. And I didn't want to have to turn that on manually, and the laser. So as you can see, focus, I've run wires from each torch through the body down to switches. So you got switch for the torch, and on the other side, switch for the red dot that you can see on the wall behind me. The handle I carved out of plywood, just stuck some grip tape onto the side. The trigger, not sure if you can see that. So I've got the old triggers, both under there that I've cut off flush and screwed on one trigger, so they fire at the same time. The pump action took a bit. I wanted to be able to load at exactly the same time, which it does, but I just had to line them up absolutely perfectly. The barrels are, there's a fly. Deal with him later. The barrels are two 32mm retic poly, just joined together. I made little brackets to hold everything together out of 1mm steel. So that includes the sides of the pump action, the brackets to hold the barrel, bracket to hold the torches, the laser, big bracket on top holding everything together, bracket on top of the handle for a little bit more strength, trigger guard, and for the trigger itself. What else? I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's heavy, feels solid, nothing rattles on it. Little overkill for flies, but that's why I've got the 3.0. And this is for when you get invaded by things with just too many legs. Nothing should have 8 legs. If it's got 8 legs and 8 eyes. So I'm going to do a comparison test with the 3.0 and this guy, the REAPER, just to show you how much harder this thing hits. So also, this whole gun is dismantleable. You can take it apart in a few minutes. And while that made it a lot harder to make, you can't just glue things together. All has to fit, has to be able to unscrew. The internals of these guns, while they're built so solid, and I can't fold them, they are plastic. So if you put however many 1,000 shots through these, something might break. So that's why I wanted this whole thing to be able to come apart, leave the shells. Obviously I've cut the outer shell to fit, but the internals I can easily swap. So if something breaks, I can either fix it or just swap out for a whole new internal. So the two guns parallel, both barrels coming out parallel. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to shoot something and have 2 separate sprays. I've made the 2 outer barrels, I've made them narrow, so here the internal barrels are sitting on the outside of each, and that gives it enough room to bend in. So they're both facing in like that. As you can see, they're pretty close to the center here. So I think that zeroes out at 250 mil is where both intersect. So any further away than that and they're going out again, any closer than that and you'll have 2 distinct patterns. So 250 mil to a foot is ideal shooting range. So I did want to make a video of the whole process of making this thing from start to finish, and I'll include a few videos of before it was painted so you can see a bit more of what's going on. Right now it's just all black, so it's a bit hard to see the individual pieces. But in Australia right now there is a housing crisis, housing shortage, and for the last 2 years we've been renting a single bedroom. So I don't have the space to set up like a nice big workshop to clearly show the making process. This has been made between the bedroom, a little bit at work when I have spare time, or back of my ute parked on the verge. So it's a little hard to make a nice video. Hoping soon that we'll have a house I can set up what I want. A little workshop to make this sort of stuff. I love it, I enjoy it. If you've got any suggestions of what I can make next, maybe this again, but somehow upgrade the internals. I'm not sure. I searched everywhere, I couldn't find anyone doing that. Everyone's just doing what I did on the first one, painting it, putting unnecessary lasers and sights and all that guy stuff on there. And I have that. But no one was upgrading, no one was making more powerful. The lights, I wanted to make this switch. I didn't want to have to turn them on individually, and it was a bit tricky. Like there's just a press button on the back, and I didn't want to have, it's a small inconvenience, I didn't want to have to do that every time. So, and this goes for the laser as well, that had just a button and you have to hold on, and when you depress it, it turns the laser off. And that's not ideal for this. So you've got the torch, so I unscrewed it. You get the little batteries, the battery pack that slides in and out. So I ended up putting the batteries in, and between the spring on the cap that touches the negative and creates the loop, I put probably a 10 mil circle of plastic. I used an old margarine lid, it's thin. 10 mil bit of plastic between the spring and the battery terminal. And then either side of that bit of plastic, I put one wire, and then the other side I put another wire. And that essentially breaks the circuit. And then I ran the wires up here to a switch, which then completes the circuit. And I did that for the laser as well. And it worked surprisingly well. So you can shoot it one-handed, but it is heavy. Very heavy. So 2 hands. Just added an extra lip here so that it sits flat when you sit it on the table. I didn't want to have to put a big bipod on it. I don't even like lying on the side either, every time. I know the original, the 3.0, I've seen videos online of little wolf spiders just like taking a hit and just walking it off. It might mangle a leg, but that just leaves 7 other legs for it to beat you to death with. When the time comes that there is a massive huntsman, I want to be able to kill it. I haven't found one yet. Only smallish spiders that the 3.0 could probably also kill. But I know that this thing just obliterates them. There's nothing left. It's overkill, but I'm waiting for the day that, you know, that it's not overkill. So I wanted to call this the most powerful salt gun, but I think Bug Assault do the pistol version, the shredder, which is the CO2 powered salt shooter. And I've seen a few videos of that online, and it's pretty powerful. Yeah, I think it would be on par with this, if not maybe a bit more. But 2 things: I don't like having to, you know, recharge the CO2 or however they do it. Have to put specific little salt ammunition in. I just like the simple spring-loaded salt here and here, and you're laughing. And 2, it's not legal in Australia. I've seen a few others online of this homemade one where it shoots literally a cup of salt. I mean, it hit hard. It'd probably squish whatever it was aimed at. But I don't want to be picking up a cup of salt every time that there's a little spider in the house. So this thing doesn't leave any more trace than the 3.0, and I feel it hits hard. I've shot myself with it. It draws blood. So just the comparison again. Reaper 3.0, much bigger, much heavier, just meaner. So I've also made a phone holder, which is pretty straightforward, just 2 hooks that clip onto this little rail the 3.0s come with. I normally have the M50 that I'm filming on up top, but I've got the iPhone there for now. Obviously, the M50 screws into the center of the camera, so center on here, center of the barrel. Obviously, iPhone's offset, so this is currently well to the left of it, as you can see. So I made this part able to articulate, so you can do that. Loosen, yep, completely. Loosen that off and you can center it. So right now you're currently centered, thereabouts. But yeah, most of the time I'll be filming with the Canon M50 on top. You can have it in portrait mode as well, like that, for shorts and whatever. Don't think there's much more to say. There is a fly flying around here that doesn't like living. No, he's moving again. So I would like to... I'll break the line. Get out of there. Get out. Prick. Alright, so he's in the fluoro light. I'm not shooting that. I don't have to explain to our landlord why the light doesn't work and there's 1,000 pieces on the garage floor. Okay, so a little side-by-side test. We've got some foil set up, even, nothing behind it. On the left, we'll do 3.0 at, it's about 200 mil away. Not very accurate, but that's blown decent sized hole in that. And now we'll try the Reaper at about the same distance away. Laser on for accuracy. I know it's not very zeroed. So that's a fair bit bigger. We'll try that again. That's a fair bit bigger. About there. Blow a decent little hole in it. Go to the REAPER. Try it from further away. This is say 2 feet. Pretty good spread. A few little ones got through. So we'll try the 3.0 at the same distance. To the right, it's about 2 feet. Do smaller. I'm going to fly up here that you can see. Or how to fly up there. There is another one. Let me load him.